put the Australians into bat after they had exchanged teams out in the centre. England left out Richard Ellison. They've got 5 bowlers there: Agnew, Allott, Edmonds, Embury and David Shepherd. David Shepherd standing in his very first match. It was from his end that Ian Botham came in to bowl the first over. Here's the first ball, and Kepler Wessels is taking straight. Unusual delivery and the most unusual shot for Wessels. Almost a straight bat, whack past square leg. No third man.
John Agnew taking the new ball. 48 wickets this season, averaging 24 runs per wicket, and of course 9 for 70 for Leicestershire against Kent.
The outfield's a little slow. They'll get 3, but they'll have to earn all their runs out there today. Three more to Hilditch. Kepler Wessels to face Ian Botham. Tim Robinson is the fielder. He's past fit to play here, which is a bonus for England because he's been in such good form. But he had a bit of back trouble. Couldn't play with Nottinghamshire in 1 or 2 of their contests recently. Good shot. A late cut.
Knocking on the door of Test cricket for the last 2 or 3 years, David Shepherd. Botham still keeping the 3 slips. Gully quite deep. Helped away down to a long leg, and that gets down there very quickly indeed. Despite the slow outfield, perfectly timed by Hilditch. So Allott's going to get a crack from the far end, the Warwick Road end. To the delight of the crowd. There must have been some doubt as to whether Paul Allott would have retained his place in this side, and probably the fact that he's playing here on his home ground just clinched it for him. So 50 up for Australia, good time, coming off just 71 balls. It's Botham still at it. It's over-pitched and driven very firmly through the covers. That'll go through for 4. And most of the scoring today has been off the back foot. Very few times we've seen a drive prominent.
A fine shot this. It's quite wide, but he got his foot well across. Good follow through, kept his head down, and the perfect finish. England are desperate looking for some bowler who's going to bowl well on this pitch. In fact, John Embury is going to be giving a go at the far end now.
That's driven in the gap through the offside. Pleasant shot there from the left-hander. Nice off drive for 4. Allott is getting the choice now from the Stretford end, replacing Botham. So we'll get the stiffish breeze behind him. Over-pitched and driven very firmly again through mid-off. Guttin enjoying a little chase away from At short leg position.
On the surface, the Australians have made an excellent start. 73 for 1 from 18 overs. But it's at the end of the day Gower will know whether he's been successful or not in that ploy. Not so much what happens in the first session, because he can whittle away at the opposing batsman in the second and third sessions and still come out looking fairly good.
And he's gone. Beautiful piece of bowling. Change of pace, little flight, mistimed drive, and a relatively simple catch to both of them at slip there. So Embury strikes, the first wicket goes down with 71 on the board, and it's the end of Kepler Wessels.
And after Wessels' dismissal, another 14 runs were added before lunch. Boone struggling a little, but hanging in there to be 6 not out, and Andrew Hilditch on 43. We pick up play now after the interval. It's the second over with 6 runs having been added, and Agnew is the bowler, with Hilditch taking strike.
It's good on drive, over pitch, clipped very firmly by Hilditch through mid-on. Gattin is the man giving chase. He's down for 4 runs, just beneath us here, down at the Stretford end. He's gone this time, yes, up goes down, no question at all about that. Definite edge onto the pad, and that was a good catch by David Gower, went very quickly. So Hilditch goes for 49, making Australia 97 for 2. But Gower bowled Edmonds. David Boone has taken the score along to 11 now, faces Agnew. Another over-pitched ball, that's driven again very firmly through mid-off. This outfield's very slow. So 3 figures goes up on the board. 100 for 2 Australia now, coming up in the 31st over. Agnew to border. That's a lovely shot for 4 runs. Each time he's over-pitched, he's been punished by these 2. Perfectly timed off drive.
Yes, how quickly Border moved to the pitch of that. So simple. Out there, and a punching shot and a follow-through. Sign of a man in form. And Phil Edmonds, all these uncertainties about his field placings. He wants the men out deep, he wants the couple in close. He usually wants them everywhere.
Stumped. Edmonds has him. And umpire Shepherd a square leg. Has given Border out stumped. Australia are 118 for 3. We're in the 40th over. And that looked as though it was a good piece of planning. (13 overs for 24 and 3 wickets so far. Greg Ritchie is the batsman. There's the start. There's a good example of how slow the pitch is. Greg Ritchie was starting to play his shot and hesitated, and then still went through with it. And it became the most gentle little dolly back to the bowler, Phil Edmonds. Edmonds has not quite certain where he wants the men for Wayne Phillips. Question of whether Gatting stays at short leg or someone goes across to point. They're negotiating at the moment. Decide to leave it as it is. Phillips off the mark. England Selection Committee, Peter May, the chairman, Phil Sharp on the left and Alan Smith on the right. Well, they've had a very good day so far. Harold Bird has spoken to Phil Edmonds. Official warning.
Well, if that's an official warning, McDermott will only get through his first over here.
Embry again. Played that well. Changed his mind, went back, cut it late for 4. Short one again, that's powered off the back foot by Boone for 4 runs. A lesson should have been learnt by now to keep it up to these Australians. So there to Boone brings Australia onto the 150 mark. Bowled 9 overs in the morning's play. In no to Boone. Short again. Pushed away square by Boone. Misses absolutely nothing in that area. And it's 4 more.
Yes, David Boone, very stocky, strong little fellow, and anything a bit short, he really gets onto it very quickly indeed, and no chance at all for third man. He'd only got to run 15 or 20 yards, but there was no way he was getting around to that.
Beautiful straight drive by Boone. Nobody bothering to chase that one. It's all the way for 4 runs. So a very good 50 there for David Boone. Up goes the bat. His first 50 in this series.
4 more runs added to take the total up to 168 for 4. And that's a very important partnership between David Boone, 51 not out, and Wayne Phillips, 18 not out. Boone starting to stroke the ball very well up to the tee interval. Well, after tee, David Boone picked up another single, and that took him to his highest ever score in Test match cricket. Here now, with 1 run added, is Ian Botham coming in to bowl to Wayne Phillips. That's just about his favourite shot. Pitch is slow. No great amount of bounce there, and yet Phillips can still get that ball away with perfect timing on the offside. And a change in the field now. Botham looks as though he's intending to try and have Phillips caught at squarish short point on the offside. And that's why it's fraught with danger. It has to be spot on, otherwise Phillips will murder it. Well, now Botham got what he wanted when he had the man brought in close on the offside, and there's just been a bit of arm waving going on there to indicate that he's not delighted with the field, so he's now getting something else that he wants. He's having a man back on the fence at point. And that is out. He's through now. The first wicket. He's been trying to have Phillips caught at short cover. Finally got him with Downton, who earlier made a very good stumping to dismiss Alan Border. Phillips out for 36, and that is the break England so desperately needed.
Now another left-hander. Greg Matthews.
And Matthews is off the mark. 2 runs past square. .198 for 5. A little bit of a stop-go effort on a pitch that has been very slow. Oh, what a good catch. Boone's gone for 61. That's a splendid catch. Alan Lamb, the man at gully, and Boone has been crashing the ball away square of the wicket on the offside. Out for 61, and a very good innings it was. Botham versus O'Donnell. That'll get O'Donnell off the mark with 4. Something of a battle between young David and Goliath out there. Botham, the experienced all-rounder with the best figures of anyone in the game today, and O'Donnell on his first tour, just sneaking his 4 runs there.
John Embury once again. Trouble there. Terrific stop there by Botham. Very wild throw coming in. Enormous leap there. Botham backing up at slip. And he's knocked the lot over. No attempt made to play a shot whatsoever there by Matthews. An error of judgment and a great sight for any bowler. Off stump right out of the ground. It's 211 for 7. And Matthews has gone, and it's yet another wicket to Botham.
Well, certainly a miscalc here by Greg Matthews. That ball pitched, well, certainly off stump, and it just straightened onto off stump. That gives England a chance now. They're into the tail, although Jeff Lawson can bat a bit. He is not a mug by any means, but that just gives England that chance to bowl them out tonight. Another good delivery here by Ian Botham. The ball just going out a little bit again and leaving Jeff Lawson very flat-footed there. Certainly Ian Botham got the ball to move a little bit more off the seam now than did early this morning, but possibly he's bowled a little bit fuller length than he did earlier.
And he's gone this time. Yes, up goes the umpire's finger. It's another for Botham. Bit of movement, the outside edge. 223 for 8. It's really been an excellent spell. Lawson on his way back. Yes, deciding to leave the field as it is for the new batsman. Previously they brought extra men up to bowl with a couple out. And that must be close. In fact, he's gone. First ball for McDermott down that end. Second wicket for Embury. And the second time this afternoon we've seen an error of judgment by the batsman out there. Matthews having his off-stump knocked down to the ground, and McDermott looking very plumb LBW there.
Catch. Overthrows. Up a couple there, and one throw as well.
Well, it did look as if he caught it then. It went very quickly. And both of them quickly realised he hadn't held it. It goes quickly off the bat to both of them's right hand. Tremendous effort, but the ball just drops. He knows and throws. Unfortunately for Jonathan Agnew, no one backing up, so he had the catch dropped and overthrows on top of that.
Just fractionally short of gully, I think. Gatting might just have carried. Difficult to tell from this angle. Safely way over extra cover. That's good cricket from O'Donnell. That's what you have to do in this situation. You wait for the last couple of balls of the over when the field's in and smash it to whatever part of the park you can find. Now the man at cover has come in to save the single, which perhaps gives O'Donnell some scope for hitting away over the top. Or edging away down for 2, down to Paul Allen. And the 250 comes up for Australia in the 88th over. Shot from Simon O'Donnell. Picked it up beautifully. Smashed it away over mid-wicket for 6. 257 for 9. After a great start, it's been a struggle all day, and in fact we're now to see the man on the bottom line there who's taken most or second most wickets, Phil Edmonds, come in to bowl the last over from Warwick Road End. 15 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 40 his figures. And perhaps it might have happened earlier had Phil Edmonds been able to come on from that Warwick Road End. And that made a nice finish for Phil Edmonds, who bowled consistently well all day. An excellent innings from Simon O'Donnell for his 45, and a most valuable little partnership that between O'Donnell and Holland right at the end of the innings. 257 for Australia, and the outstanding bowling came from 3 men, Botham in the second part of his bowling spell, where he finished up with 4 for 79, and the 2 spinners, Embury 24 overs, 7 maidens, 2 for 41, and Edmonds 15.1 overs, 4 maidens. Now with a score at 3 for no wicket. Each batsman, Gooch and Robinson, has made a single, and McDermott is coming in to bowl to Robinson.
Classic stroke off the legs by Robinson. Oh, that's beaten the fielder.
And in fact, if Australia had had the short mid-wicket position that they have for Graham Gooch, that would have been straight into him. You can see it's at about 2 feet in the air. So he plays the shot there, and the ball goes up about 2 feet high. It would have been straight into that short mid-wicket. But it's interesting to note that Craig McDermott's now gone back to that very straight run-up that he tried at Nottingham, then went back to his angled run-up, but he's certainly using a much straighter run-up this morning.
That's beaten third slip. It's a chase for third man, but he's no chance of cutting that off, and that's successive boundaries to Tim Robinson. Lawson to Gooch. Short, beautiful shot. Square on the offside, 4 runs. All the strength and power into that big frame of Graham Gooch going into that. Another over from McDermott.
Well, umpire by Dickie Bird there, very worried about McDermott's follow through, and he certainly looked as far on the wicket then as the official warning that Phil Edmonds got yesterday.
And that's gone. Beautifully picked up by Border at slip. So the first blow struck by McDermott. Robinson, the man, gone. It's 21 for 1. And the opener's out for 10.
Craig McDermott getting that ball just in the right place. Good length, off stumpish, just outside. And just a little bit of bounce, and Robinson a little bit away from his body with the bat there, which is probably the reason they edged it.
Dermott and De Gower. And a warning out there. First warning there to captain, the other umpire, and to McDermott. It's follow through, encroaching once again on the pitch. So Gooch on 10, Lawson the bowler. And beaten. Good delivery there from Lawson. Gooch committed to the stroke.
Botham has perfected, if that's the word, this idea of being a long way up on the first slip. Rather tends to indicate to me the first slip might be a bit deep. It's not readily accepted by those who are fielding in that position. It's not the only thing that's not readily accepted either. Just wondering if Boone might have slipped a fraction there as he started to go to his left for the ball. And I'm just wondering if it was because he couldn't quite get the grip with that right foot. And I think that that's exactly what happened. I think his foot slid away to the right. I wouldn't have a bar of rubber sole shoes. I don't care how comfortable they might be. I don't think they can possibly give you as good a grip as spikes.
Another no ball. Just bring a single to Gower this time.
McDermott is putting a lot into this. He's bowling very quickly. It's not obvious to see because the pitch is so slow, but he's putting a great deal of energy and effort and just overstepping that mark again.
So Gower to face Lawson. No balls, just as well.
It's been a struggle for Jeff Lawson. And clearly over there. And then he'd be counting his bad luck because David Gower would have played that anyway.
Yes, it's been much the same case, hasn't it, since they changed the no ball rule off the front foot. Batsman really is committed in any case. Beat the slips, raced away down the third man for 4 runs. It's all the way along the ground, no possible chance there.
So the luck going to David Gower, and certainly not to Jeff Lawson, who did well, bowled well to find the thick outside edge of the bat.
Short, hooked away in great style. That's 4 runs to Gower, bringing up the 50. Right across outside the line and hit it very powerfully well over long run. 88 balls for that 50 runs.
4 more runs added up to the luncheon break to take Gower on to 19 and Gooch on to 18. There were 40 minutes lost due to rain and bad light in that first session, and that amounted to 10 overs to be taken off the minimum 90 to be bowled in a full day's play. 55 for 1, And it was tough going for the Australians out there, with both Gooch and Gower starting to play very well up to the interval. We pick up play now in the third over after lunch. 5 runs have been added. McDermott is the bowler, and he's coming into Gower. Gower's got the pace of this pitch. Good save. Beautiful time, because this outfield isn't all that quick. The wind may have dried it out a little, but there's no full value for strokes today, as indeed was the case yesterday. The Australians not quite up to 12 overs per hour. So they're bowling about 70 balls an hour. It is ridiculously low. Geoffrey Lawson now to Graham Gooch.
Good shot again, this time on the offside off the back foot. Matthews for the hairy after that one. Tremendous piece of enthusiasm there in the field, but all to no avail in the end. And a nicely timed shot there from Gooch.
Yeah, that was a very good shot indeed. Off the back foot on this slow wicket and going back straight past back bowl shows what power Gooch has.
See another bowling change taking place here. This is Simon O'Donnell. That's short and 4 runs. Might have been a good length in Australia, but certainly no point in pitching it there on a slow Old Trafford wicket. Looked as though it might be a good shot when he set off. Looking through extra cover for that, and finishing up with 4 down to fine leg.
Graham Gooch trying to just hit it on the hop a little bit through covers and getting a thick inside edge, which must have been very, very close indeed to the leg stump.
Leg spin Holland. Injured. Yes, he hit that pretty hard, as you can see now. And the power of Gooch into that. Very late to take evasive action there. And there were no thanks from Graham Gooch there. A single instead of 4. So Alan Bird will remember the 100 going up at Old Trafford. And it's Simon O'Donnell. Single there. And there is in fact the 5,000 runs recorded up there for Davy Gower. He's the 9th Englishman to do that.
Outside edge. Which has to field it, but it will just beat him into the rope. .50 for Graham Gooch. Beautiful straight drive.
Super shot by Graham Gooch. Let the ball come to him, didn't try to force. Timed it beautifully, straight blade of the bat.
O'Donnell to resume.
Boone has put down his second for the day. That was difficult. It was going much finer than he'd have liked. Question of whether Phillips could have got across.
He has been standing wide to the left-hander and the right-hander. That was a first slip catch, but he had to go a yard or two to his left.
He'll have some trouble saving that one. Lovely pieces of timing from Graham Gooch today. And those pitches where you need to get in and adjust your timing. Good shot. Coming around the wicket on a good batting track. Nothing to work on out of the rough left by the bowlers. Can be a little hazardous. He left absolutely no margin for error. Four more.
Just where David Gower likes it, and loves to open the face of the bat and hit it quite square on the offside, quite square between cover and point.
There it goes again. Two runs added up to the tea interval. Gower on 46, Gooch 73. Not a wicket to fall there, and that was very heartening indeed, so far as the England team was concerned. Not so good for the Australians, because they laboured on a pitch that was just as dead and lacking in as much bounce as was the case yesterday. We pick up play now with just a single added. McDermott bowled all the time from the Warwick Road end prior to tea, coming up into a stiff breeze. Here he is now with the breeze at his back, and Graham Gooch is taking strike.
Beaten by a bit of pace there, and he's gone. And there's the extra pace of McDermott, seeing the end of Graham Gooch. Went onto the back foot. That kept a little low, but it was a much, much quicker delivery. So Gooch goes LBW for 74, and it's 142 for 2.
Yes, certainly I felt McDermott should have bowled from this end, and he certainly beat Graham Gooch on pace there, because even though it did keep a bit low, I think he was certainly through in before the bat came down, and it looked pretty straight, did that.
That's a good hand there from Graham Gooch. Still short of that 3-figure score. He's really been looking so hard for. Slight change in the field for Mike Guttin. That's a good stroke. Confident way for Mike Guttin to get off the mark. Just lent into that nicely for 4 runs. There's a hook shot. And they're looking. Not quite sure whether he went over, but Gower's on his way, and that really was a brilliant catch down at long leg. McDermott strikes again. Gower goes for 47, and some little doubt as to whether he could hold it and stay inside the rope, but he did it successfully, and it was a superb catch down at long leg. But, fine, firm shot, really middled it. And there we can see the catch, brilliantly taken. He goes back, and as you can see, just stays inside the ropes. So it really was a tremendous catch. Alan Lamb comes in then at 148 for 3 to join Mike Guttin, and this is the man who's done the damage in action now from the Stretford end, Greg McDermott. Turned away very neatly down to long leg. So 4 good runs there to Mike Guttin, got off the mark with a punchy straight drive for 4. slip and a silly point in now with Alan Lamb to face the leg spinner. That's where he can't bowl, of course. Quite a bad delivery, but it's just desserts.
Well, he was drawn into it. McDermott letting go the bouncer. He must have known that there's a chance it would have been swatted away for 4. Gatting's a pretty good puller and hooker. Well, the shout there was for the ball having come from Alan Lamb's bat onto his foot, I think. How interesting. Bet your life, I think that was a catch. Outside edge and put down. The reaction of the players from everywhere was to go up. Great shot. So he was preparing to get the charge even before the bowler's arm came over.
Well, you won't see a better cover drive than this if you watch cricket. Oh, yeah. Down the wicket. Beautiful follow through. Head perfectly still. And that was at the boundary in no time at all.
And up comes the 200. Border can't catch that. Upfield's still not all that quick. That was very well timed by Mike Gatting. 201. 202 for 3 now. Always very wise to wear something like that to avoid sunstroke.
Lawson to Lamb. It's a good stroke. We're half full in the leg stump. Clipped away in fine style there for 4 runs. Lamb getting everything right there. Feet moving into the correct position. Beautifully timed. Takes him on now to 31. Holland still round the wicket, concentrating leg stump and outside it. Much to the delight this time of Gatting, who managed to get hold of it right off the meat of the bat before runs through mid-wicket.
Score went on to 233 for 3 at the close, with Gatting and Lamb very much in command. 45 to Gatting, who played some lovely shots, or as many as one could have on this pitch, and Alan Lamb, 38 not out, played well within himself, and England have done very well in a day where there was hardly any pace coming from the pitch for them to play their strokes, and certainly very little pace for the bowlers. Lawson, none for 56, bowled pretty well early on. McDermott, the successful bowler. Holland, O'Donnell and Matthews, nothing at all against the Cornhill Test match. I'm afraid dark cloud and rain meant no chance of play before lunch. The umpires made several inspections. The ground staff worked very, very hard, but the upshot was that 35 overs were long. We pick up play now in the first over. Greg Matthews is the bowler. It's the last ball, and he's bowling to Mike Gatting. Beautiful stroke for 4, and Gatting gets England off the mark in this rain-marred day. Bob Holland from the Warwick Road end, bowling to Lamb. Another lovely stroke. First of all, Gatting in Matthews over, and now Lamb thumps Holland away through mid-wicket. feature of the running yesterday, the understanding between these two. And now Mike Gatting has reached his half-century.
Yes, Mike Gatting's 50 off 104 balls. And he hit 7 fours.
The outfield doesn't show any signs of having slowed up because of the overnight rain. The 3 boundaries and a 2 so far from the 3 overs from the spinners for Australia.
Lamb has picked up the pace of the pitch really well, and that's his strong shot.
The second new ball has been taken. It's been given to Craig McDermott, who's taken all 3 wickets so far. Gatting didn't quite get onto that. The outfield will just slow it up enough that the boundary can be stopped, but they'll still get 3 runs. There's a good shot. So no worries about the second new ball from Mike Gatting. He's taken runs there with a glorious cover drive. McDermott to Lamb. Half-century to Alan Lamb. Gatting is on 64. And England have moved along very smoothly since play began at 2 o'clock on this 3rd day. The crowd is packed in again today, and they waited very patiently indeed. And one of the reasons they'll be along here today is to see that music aficionado is sitting on the balcony there with his pads on, reading a copy of the National Geographical magazine.
Lawson to Gatting. That's a great shot. Short, hammered away square. Exactly the treatment it deserved. Beautiful shot from Gatting.
Well, there are not many players look much better than Mike Gatting when he's in full flow. And another beautiful shot here that really sped away to the cover point boundary.
It's through mid-on with a fine on drive. And Mike Gatting really found his touch. A long one chase. In fact, could run 4 if it hadn't gone over the ropes. So 2 real fine boundaries in this over from Gatting. Beautiful square cut, followed by the on drive. So it's McDermott again. Looks as though it's going through for 4, but it wasn't too far away from being a catch to mid-on. All seemed to just stop slightly on Alan Lamb, carried on with the stroke. But all's well for him in the end. It's 4 more. Another bad delivery short. Hammerthwaite's to cover off the back foot this time, and that's 4 more to Alan Lamb. And runs really flowing now for England. Lawson in now. This is his 26th over. 50 partnership coming up for this fourth wicket, and it's taken 278 balls. That's a great shot. Fine hook shot, hooked in front of square very comfortably by Alan Lamb. That brings England past the 300 mark. 302 for 3. 67 now to Lamb. Simon O'Donnell coming on, taking over from McDermott. Sharp single. If he hits, he's got to be close, and he's run out. Well, Mike Gatting going for the quick single, called Alan Lamb. A lovely pick up there from Matthews. A shy direct hit the wicket, and Alan Lamb just that little bit short. So England's fourth wicket goes down at 304. Alan Lamb run out for 67.
Well, it was always a fairly tight run because Gatting hit it quite firmly. The fielder picked it up very quickly. He'd only 1.5 stumps more or less to aim at. And you can see there Alan Lamb is always struggling.
Well, here he comes. Both are in at number 6. Man, this packed Old Trafford crowd really have come to see. So McDermott gets a crack downwind now, comes on to take over from Geoff Lawson. And that's nudged away to a third man by Mike Gatting, gone for the first, racing back for the second, after hurry. Just made the ground. That was a fairly important run for Mike Gatting because that takes him on to his best score in England in a Test match. It's a pity he didn't keep the man back for Gatting. Would have saved 4 runs. And Gatting, whose timing has been so good, so efficient here today, puts him away for another 4.
Simon O'Donnell is pushing up into the breeze to allow Lawson and McDermott to come down with the breeze. And this will be a good experience for him. And so will that.
I'd like to say that he's got the pace of it, but I'm not quite certain about that either, Richie. Might have gone anywhere, that shot, but it was certainly going somewhere. Started towards mid-on, shaped to go to mid-on, but in fact went through mid-wicket.
This man gone back at long on, this one going back at long off. This is the field the Australians will use when Botham is going. They've decided already that he is going. He's made 10. Gatting's on 87. He's been an interested spectator of all this at the other end. Fielded. Matthews again. He's had a good day. In fact, he's had a good match in the field. Very keen. Useful bowler, dogged batsman, and a brilliant fielder.
And Australia will need to be feeling like that if Botham's playing like that. England 65 runs ahead, and it is important because time has been lost that they get a move on. And of course, they could anticipate that they'd lose more time for rain during this match. Gatting and Lamb from their 131 made tremendous progress. And Gatting, like Botham now, has the license to play all the attacking strokes.
That's 4 more. That's a lovely shot.
Super shot. Didn't force it at all, waited for the ball to come on. It was just slanting across him, and he picked it off the pads. Very quickly square on the onside.
Just the fingertips to that in the outfield with the sun on it, and the wind has quickened up. Beautifully placed. Gatting goes to within 4 of a century. That was a lovely shot, copybook stuff.
Yeah, see, exactly where it was going. Just that gap through the extra cover. There was a cover there was a mid-off there, but straight between both, and he didn't bother to run. He knew the power of it, he knew the direction.
Okay, that's some thump. In some other context, that might have been a very good Yorker. What it did with both of them was fairly belt off the middle of the bat.
Some people need an excuse to play like this. For example, that so much time's been lost for rain that they have an excuse for getting out, for going for their shots. But really, Ian Botham plays like this all the time. His instinct is always to attack, always looking for the big shots. He's the envy of a lot of players who have to get their runs in 1s and 2s, because his shots go for 4s or a gentle push for 3.
O'Donnell. Well done. Well, McDermott's got him, but I'm not too sure that you could really mark it down as something that was definitely planned. But both of them went for it. I should think tactically England have decided to push on for the runs. That's perhaps the way he should have played it. Didn't do so, and he's gone for 20. Court O'Donnell bowled McDermott. 25 balls, 34 minutes and 3/4, and McDermott has all 4 wickets now to fall to a bowler.
I think both of them will be annoyed there, because that's one of his favourite shots, the short ball, slowish pitch. And I'm sure in his mind's eye he saw that ball sailing over the stand there. Seemed to get the top half of the bat. He did play it well. But, a good mover, Simon O'Donnell. Head still all the way, moving neatly underneath it and taking it. The hands giving. An excellent running catch on the boundary. And the 4 wickets to Craig McDermott.
There it is, 100 for Gatting. He's already gone past his 1,000 runs for the summer. It's his first Test 100 against Australia, and the first he's ever made in this country. A nice moment to be able to be congratulated by his teammate from Middlesex, Paul Downton. Mike Gatting, 100, won 79 balls and 14 boundaries. A splendid innings. Indeed it was. Mike Gatting's century, 103 not out at tea, with 11 more runs added to take England on to 354 for 5. Botham 20 and Lamb 67 out to that brilliant piece of fielding from Greg Matthews. 354 for 5, and that was a very good performance from England. Gatting leading the way and getting good support from the other batsmen. I think that was the best long innings I've ever seen Mike Gatting play, and one that was thoroughly appreciated by a capacity crowd here. The gates closed for the 2nd day in succession. We join play now after tea with the very first ball. O'Donnell is coming in and Gatting is taking strike.
That's a great way to get things away after tea. Half volley clipped away quite beautifully, as has been his wont here all day. 4 runs on the leg stump.
There's Sam McDonald just straying there down the leg side, and Mike Gatting clipping it away, picking it up without any problem at all, just past the square leg umpire.
So that gives England a 3-figure lead now, 101 runs ahead. And they're looking for another 100 fairly quickly. That's another beautiful stroke. Really flowing from Gatting's mat now. Clipped through that vacant area between mid-wicket and mid-on for 4 more. Exactly the sort of acceleration that England need and this massive Old Trafford crowd enjoy. Beautifully placed again, perfectly timed for 4 more. Just simply leant on that, picked the right spot and found it.
Well, Mike Gatting certainly playing some classic shots here today, and another beauty there. Beautiful follow through, head perfectly still, and plenty of power into the shot.
So Lawson continuing to peg away here. Oh, beautiful stroke. Really has played that so well here. Short outside the off stump, right on top of it, cracked it away square. 4 more for Gatting.
Lawson number 93. Well, a bit better than that yesterday, but today I think both he and McDermott have tended to be too short. They've been trying to get out of this pitch something that isn't really there. There's no bounce, there's no pace. Doesn't matter how hard you try, you can't generate it on a surface like this. 388 for 5. And here's Holland. Fielded. David Boone it is, with the bandaged left hand.
Almost repeating the shot there, but again that didn't bounce quite high enough, didn't get quite the same power, and a good bit of fielding.
This is the sort of break Gatting needed. A couple of short ones and then a full toss. Nicely timed. Attempted Yorker from Lawson. And good running as well from Mike Gatting to come back for 3. It only went 3 parts of the way to the boundary. 400 up for England. Capacity crowd here, 20,000 people in at Old Trafford. I have read in years gone past that there's 38,000 used to cram into this ground. But nowadays, with different safety regulations and a seat for everyone, capacity is reduced to 20,000. It's much more comfortable, and it is still a great sight. Single to Paul Downton by David Shepherd. Hands Lawson his sweater, and they're all looking at that cloud behind us now. The umpires have the job of trying to make certain the covers can be got on the ground and the pitch be covered before anything actually hits. Now, that's what the light meter says. That's gone even further back towards the left, towards what you might term 12 o'clock, I suppose. Now that is away to the side of the ground. Here's Bob Holland. No chance there. Alan Border wasn't interested, the bowler was. So to short leg. Umpire Bird, no interest at all.
Downton getting the pad well out there, but it's the sort of thing that might happen. We saw Andrew Hilditch, the first innings, getting a pad first and bat second. The whole point about the bad light, of course, is that England in this position, 410 for 5, with Gatting there and 146, and Downton well set, would not be keen to go off the field at this stage. Loss of play this morning's session, and I'm sure David Gower would anticipate losing some more play during the match, and it could pay England to stay on the field. And so they have. They were offered the light. Gatting and Downton decide to stay on. Absolutely correct decision if England are to forge ahead now, create the time in the match to bowl Australia a second time.
Four runs and 150 from Mike Gatting.
This innings of fine quality from Mike Gatting. Excellent defence at the start, but we've seen a wide range of strokes and none more handsome than this one. The straight drive properly played.
Little edge away for a single, and Gatting having to hurry.
Yes, it's amazing how tired you can get, play a long innings, and you think you can make it. It was Gatting's call, went behind the stumps, and off he went, but the legs weren't quite going as quickly as they had done in the morning session. Just home.
Well, that's neatly played. Beautiful late cut there. That's enough, says Gatting. Two will do. It's never been an easy wicket to play a cut shot on here. Ball not coming on, but that again was very skillfully timed. And the one successful bowler, Craig McDermott, coming back into the attack from the Stretford end. That's a nice shot. Tremendous piece of fielding. Terrific enthusiasm there from Matthews. 5 minutes past 6, he's been there since 2 o'clock, and he's still diving full length like a goalkeeper in full flight.
It's a sight we've never seen before the advent of one-day cricket. And even then, even allowing for all the miracles we see these days, I think that was exceptional, Jim, wasn't it?
That was really quite incredible. And he's loving every minute of it. Look at that light meter moving round. There's a splurge of sunshine ahead. Crack in the clouds, down it streams. And that's what we've missed. And how lucky can you be? Or possibly unlucky, you're looking from an Australian point of view. And he's gone this time, finally at the end. A catch to the wicket-keeper at the end of a magnificent innings of 160 from Mike Gatting. 430 for 6, another 5 wickets in an innings for McDermott. But that really has been a magnificent performance from Michael Gatting. The details of it, 266 balls, close on 6 hours, and including 21 fours. And still an enormous crowd here to the bitter end at Old Trafford. The pavilion rises to him, and rightly so, because that really has been far and away his best performance in this country. And let's not forget this 20-year-old who's taken 5 of the 6 wickets that have gone down, 5 for 116.
Mike Gatting, maybe a little bit weary. Determined to give this one a real belt. He was wading into it, faintest nick, and Phillips goes with it, falls over backwards.
John Embury well helmeted. And now Border can attack a little more. 2 slips and a short leg. It's quite dark. It's quite amazing that he found that right in the middle of the bat. So 4 runs to John Embury. And several of the fielders rather pleased it didn't come their way.
You'd think he'd been batting there all day. Immaculate shot, and that's his off the mark 4. They've even done him the great compliment of putting a man out there at deep square leg. That's Greg Matthews.
That was all too easy. And they just stood there and stroked their way through the offside for 4.
Well, yet again, we proved how well can bat in poor light. Beautifully played.
And it's pouring down. And there'll be no doubt now the players will be herring off the field. On come the covers. And the rain finally comes down here at 22 minutes past 6, and it's very heavy.
And that heavy rain continued to the extent that no more play was possible. England finishing at that score of 448 for 6, Gatting 160, and the not-out batsmen Downton 23 and Embury 12. The Australian bowlers, 3 of them with 100 against their name. Lawson none for 108. I think bowled a bit better than that. McDermott all 5, and Holland the other one with the 100 mark up. O'Donnell and Matthews the other bowlers used, but McDermott 5 for 127 from 31.4 overs. England 100. He comes in now to bowl to Paul Downton. No runs have been added.
Well done. Well done, McDermott. 6 wickets for him now, and that's exactly what Australia needed. Early breakthrough, coming off just the 2nd ball of the morning. So Paul Downton on his way back with 23 to his name, and it's 448 for 7.
Yes, and Craig McDermott not really rushing in there, just coming nice and steadily in, but bowling a very full length. And Paul Downton making the mistake which he shouldn't make on this wicket, that he looked to start to come forward, then he went back.
Edmonds out there. He'll be the non-striker, as that was the last ball of the over. This is Embury now to face O'Donnell. The first run of the morning. This is figures up to date. 32 overs now, 6 for 127. Nudge down to long leg, sees Phil Edmonds open his account. And that single takes England on to the 450 mark. McDermott to continue, Edmonds to face. Oh, and is not going to stumps over again. Good ball of full length there. Edmonds hit it all around it. 7 wickets for McDermott. What an amazing performance this has been on this pitch.
See Phil Edmonds there, and really a little bit across it, but I think he did him a little bit on pace. It was probably a fairly sharp delivery, and may just have brushed the pads.
It's a good bowl blow from John Embury. Good old-fashioned shot in the air, but very safely hit over mid-off.
Well, what England are wanting now, and John Embury certainly hitting that ball on the up, as they say. It was nowhere near a half volley, but he hit straight through it, a good shot straight down the ground, and England could do with another 20 or 30 runs very quickly, because they've got to make time up in this match. There's no doubt about that.
It's a pretty good shot. A surprised bowler, fieldsman, and even a number of the spectators. They're delighted as it was put away by Paul Allott. A little clip in the air through mid-wicket.
Well, I think most batsmen would have been very pleased with that. It was certainly short, but he just flipped it away with no trouble at all through mid-wicket and away to the boundary for 4.
And another wicket. I think that's off leg and middle that have gone down. First half hour's play here this morning. 8 wickets now for Craig McDermott, and Allott goes for 7.
Yes, again, Craig McDermott pitching the ball right up full length and bowling straight, and that's what he's got to do. He's got to make the England batsman hit across it, which is what happened there a little bit. Paul Allott finishing across it, and that's the reason he missed it. But very, very good bowling again by this young man.
Lawson to Agnew. Well, that was the thing. Didn't get anything much closer than that. Lawson disappointed, and Agnew collects a single in the end.
Yeah, I think a bat padded onto the actual wicket here. The ball just trickles through. But in fact, I think it just hits the bottom of the stumps and bounces out to the right. David Gower been signalling from the pavilion balcony, and he's got some message through to Jonathan Agnew, who's gone down and told John Embury. Oh, in the signal, they're just having one more over and then declaring. Could well be.
He's coming back for the second. Could be trouble here. But my word, that was well run. Well, in no way they should have made 2 out of that. McDermott to Embury. Content to keep it out. The batsmen leave the middle because David Gower has finally decided it's time to call it out. And declaring them at 482 for 9. Gives them a lead of 225 runs. Sees John Embury not out for 31. Very useful knock. And a couple to Jonathan Agnew. The man who's still the limelight here today, and indeed for Australia in this match to date, no doubt, is Craig McDermott. 8 of the 9 wickets to fall have gone his way. Marvellous performance on a wicket which has given him precious little help. 8 for 141. A job extremely well done.
Indeed, it certainly was a job well done by Craig McDermott, but England, with 482 for 9, can be thoroughly satisfied with the position they're in early on the 4th day of this Test match. John Embury played very well, 31 not out. He controlled things well as the wickets started to fall, but the whole thing dominated from the Australian point of view by Craig McDermott, who did an outstanding job out there. Greg Matthews ran out Alan Lamb, but the rest of them fell to McDermott, 8 of them in all, and his figures, 8 for 141 from 36 overs and 3 maidens, no other wickets to fall to a bowler. The match situation then, at that declaration, 225 runs ahead England, and Australia had a surprise in store. They sent out Greg Matthews to open the innings with Andrew Hilditch. Here he is now in the 3rd over with 3 runs on the board, and he's facing Ian Botham. a bit quicker, and it beat Matthews for pace.
Quite a gamble, really, putting Matthews in first. He must feel a little nervous, and opening the batting is strictly about tempo and the mental approach. He'll need to bat a few overs out there before he feels relaxed.
Paul Allott, he's going to bowl from the Warwick Road end. Must be very close, perhaps going down leg side. Allott doesn't completely agree with that assessment, but umpire Shepherd did.
Let's watch this carefully. Andrew Hilditch on the back foot changed his mind, half forwards rather, just where he was, came back off the seam.
Good runs. Matthews very confident about that. Never moved an inch, stood there, put it away square, and just watched it go all the way to the boundary. First change sees the introduction of spin at Warwick Road end. Phil Edmonds coming on to take over from Paul Allott. And that one certainly straightened. Had some slow turn from Edmonds in the first innings, but seeing that turn a little shake quicker, Ray.
Yes, that's certainly at least straightened, and that's a very promising sign for the England bowlers.
Embry now to the right-hander Hilditch. It's a bold shot, just almost on the lunge interval. But very safe, nobody out there. Swung him away over deep square for 6. That's a real turn up for the book. A big grin there from Andrew Hilditch. A brave shot, good one, quite sensible shot. It was perfectly safe, provided he middled it, of course. There's nobody more than about 20 yards away from the bat.
Yes, a perfectly safe shot from Andrew Hilditch, who went to 20. Greg Matthews 17, so that makeshift opening pair had done a good job to take Australia on to 38 without loss at lunch. Certainly a little bit of turn there for the spinners, and we pick up play now with the second ball after the interval. No runs have been added, and Greg Matthews is facing Edmonds. Good catch. Beautifully caught and bowled by Phil Edmonds. Matthews, he played so well before lunch to go right through to the interval, to succumb to the second ball after the interval, trying to straight drive Edmonds. Didn't quite get over the top of it, and the bowler took a brilliant catch.
Edmonds let the ball come right to him. He went with it and caught it beautifully. But I think Matthews was put off by those close fielders.
Agnew to Vessels. Outfield is quite quick today. All the rain that fell past 24 hours, you wouldn't have thought that had any chance at all of carrying. Kipper Vessels now to face Edmonds. That is the sort of player Kipper Vessels is. He'll play defensively, drop the ball down to his feet, and then as soon as he gets one a little bit offline, fraction over pitched, and he'll go for the thump through the covers. That one actually landed between the foot marks. It was fairly wide, but it actually hit on the good ground in between the two roughened areas. Mark that down as a chance, but we need a slightly different angle to see that it did actually flick his fingers. Indeed it did. Edmonds to Hilditch. That's beaten Allott. Even though Edmonds got a hand to it, it's still gone for 4. Jonathan Agnew. Fourth that, off the bat. It's off the bat, but it was well wide of Paul Downton. No chance of him gloving that. Everyone always goes up in the air for the catch down the leg side. But Downton, in fact, made pretty good ground to get as far as he did. Agnew to Vessels. That's a good shot for 4. Now the fielder.
Phil Edmonds. Well, he's got a little bit of turn. But see how slowly that one turned. No chance of stopping it. Tried a little bit of flight there, tossed it higher, but unfortunately for Edmonds, much too short. John Emburey. And he can't believe it. He can't honestly believe how that one got through. Looked up in utter dismay, but he's gone. Clean bowl by Emburey there. And it's 85 for 2. Good wicket there for John Emburey. Held its bowled for 40.
There you see it again. Just fractionally drifted out in the air, but really it was an absolutely dead straight ball from pitch, and you can see there where the batsman's bat there, Hilditch's bat, finishes facing short leg, and that really, the bat should have been facing the bowler.
Good shot too. It's a couple of Vessels' turn this time to put him away square on the offside for 4. Still remains, even on the 4th day here, a wicket where you can't afford to drop it short.
Yeah, I think what happened was there, John had been drifting down the leg side, trying to make sure he didn't, and he heard on the offside.
Edmonds again. A couple of Vessels to face.
Inside edge there for a couple of Vessels. 100 comes up for Australia. 103 for 2. There's a good shot from Vessels. It's boundaries from successive deliveries, both of them quicker balls. And Edmonds not quite able to land in exactly the spot he wants. Now, umpire Harold Bird is down looking at Phil Edmonds on the pitch. Phil Edmonds has this habit of giving a little jump as he's waiting to see what the batsman does. He goes through and then sets himself like that. Paul Howlett didn't see that. Started to go to his left. Realised a little later that the ball had actually flashed just behind square leg. A couple of Vessels. He's come in there at number 3. That's where he wanted to bat. Finished up with Matthews opening the innings instead of him. So he's justifying the fact that he said in very firm fashion that that's his spot. And Emburey has broken through. That looked as though it may have been the leading edge, the ball just turning a little bit. Not the sort of stroke Vessels has been playing.
And Vessels just falling over a little bit. His head went right over towards off stump. He tends to do that, quite a bit clamped. And that ball must just have straightened a little bit. Rather untypical shot because he dead batted and blocked his way through. A bad ball he punched for 4. His 50 came in 110 balls with 8 fours, so he was quite sharp on the bad ball. And then betwixt and between, neither an attacking shot nor defensive one, and Kepler Wessels goes for 50.
That was a tragedy as far as the Australians were concerned. Wessels was looking very, very dangerous. That was a fine innings from him for a half-century. Hilditch and Matthews, the other men, dismissed, and all of them to the spinners, with Border 15 not out, about to be joined by Boone. In fact, it's Boone now who faces Edmonds with just 1 run added after the tea time interval.
It's David Boone very nicely off the mark. Just lent into that over-pitch ball. So he too gets off the mark with 4 runs. And, scoops for the Australian papers there. And that certainly a lot of turn there. That's one feeling that one might expect if you were bowled on that side of the wicket.
Well, that really did spin. That pitched leg stump and missed off, and as John Emburey gets very near the stumps, that did quite a lot. Well worth a shout here for Phil Edmonds. Playing no stroke, the ball pitching just outside off stump and running on.
John Emburey, and he's bowling to David Boone.
Oh, well bowled. 3rd wicket for Emburey. And Boone is out. Just so.
A fine piece of bowling that by John Emburey. A slower ball, he lowered him down the wicket, but he did get a little bit of spin as well, which was the thing that finally beat him, but fine piece of bowling, yes.
The batsman is Greg Ritchie. And all 4 wickets have fallen now, bowling from that Warwick Road end.
And John Emburey there getting that one to turn straight away, just a fraction short of the length. If it had been just a little bit fuller, Greg Ritchie would have been in problems straight away, but he just managed to get a bat and pad and get it down between the 2 short legs.
Quite where Greg Ritchie intended. .76 runs behind. Australia 149 for 4.
It's been a very good contest between Alan Border and the spinners. He's played them very well indeed. Now Emburey is just trying to trap him on the sweep or the miss sweep. Shot he's played well with good judgment. Rather than avoid sweeping, Emburey is almost inviting it.
Well, that's not the one.
Full toss. And that's played away without any trouble at all.
So once again, it will be Emburey to Ritchie.
But that looked a chance. or a catch. I won't say, let's see how close it gets to Gower, but there's a bat and well, it was quite a way away and very low.
That's a fine shot. It won't quite go to the boundary, but Border will be able to get 3 if he runs very fast. Nice footwork, Border, and perfect judgment. Mike Gatting is coming on to bowl. This is the sort of ploy that the captain will use sometimes. Bring on a spare part bowler and just try and snap the concentration of the batsman. Might get a loose one and play a loose shot.
Might want to turn around Embury and Edmonds as well. Maybe offer Edmonds a go from the other end.
Well, it was worth a try. Just never know if you might have the batsman get a top edge. 4 runs not going to matter too much.
Edmonds coming back to that Warwick Road end, which has favoured the spinner slightly. All the wickets have gone down, bowling from that end. He's hit that high and a long way. There's the 6 signalled by David Shepherd.
Well, he wasn't really to the pitch of that, and if it had turned, I think he might have found himself lofting the ball to the covers, but he had a little bit of luck that time.
And another little pad bat, which just went wide of David Gower again. There's been 2 or 3 of those in the last 10 minutes.
Embury to Border. Border trying to keep the strike. This is through for the single. So a 50 partnership between these two. It's been a hard struggle for them. It's taken 165 balls, but they've kept the 2 spinners out. And he thought it was going up for a minute there. The hand came out. There was expectation out there. Good shout, another good delivery.
And I think he's got to give him the benefit of the doubt there. He's certainly got outside off stump, but of course, if he hadn't been playing a shot, then he could have been given out.
Border's gone on to 49 at the other end. He'll have to wait till tomorrow for his 50. And they're all asking this time. LBW turned down, the bat pad catch turned down. Mr. Botham is not overjoyed.
Well, certainly pad first. Whether it caught the bat on the way up, I don't know. The England players seem quite confident.
Yes, the England players certainly thought they'd broken through there. Greg Ritchie had an equal amount of confidence in umpire Shepherd at the bowler's end. A good innings from him, 22 not out, and with Alan Border, he shared a 50-run partnership. Border playing a good skipper's innings there, 49 not out. 1 more run added to take the total on to 192 for 4 at the close of play. England, the wickets shared by the spinners, 3 for 56 Embury and 1 for 78 Edmonds. I thought bowled quite beautifully today, both of them. A very fine performance. And the situation going into the final day is that Australia are still. Here now is the first over. 1 run has been added. Ian Botham is the bowler, and Alan Border, the Australian skipper, is taking strike. Delivery. That would have been a tremendous break for England. looked like inside edge onto the flap of the pad, and that's probably sent it down very, very sharply. It may well have carried through at around about knee height had it not flicked the pad. A very, very difficult chance indeed. Single border. And it takes the Australian captain on to 50. That's a very, very hard-fought 50. Played a slow innings here for a century in 1981 when Australia was seeking a draw. 50 in 193 minutes. Just 2 boundaries from one of the finest attacking players in the game, but it has been a splendid knock.
So remaining overs today, 57, as Emburey gets underway. And a very early boundary. So Agnew to border. That's short. It's hooked quite nicely. Hit it down. And Allott down at long leg and just slipped it down on that very wet outfield. Very greasy, very muddy down in that corner where Allott's fielding. A lot of the water taken from the middle was deposited. It's a lovely shot. It's the stroke of the morning so far, or afternoon indeed, as it is now.
Which makes the point about no swing. It was well up, good length for the swinging bowler, but it came absolutely straight, and Ritchie standing up, playing it rather majestically.
Off the back foot this time for 4 more. No margin of error still on this pitch for the bowlers. The length has got to be pretty well spot on. And now Emburey gets a harder ball, one with a bit more seam on. Might just get that little bit of extra bounce from it. Nowhere near the bat, of course, that time, straight off the pad. And yes, he waited for a minute, and so the change has done it. Emburey's taken his 4th wicket, which he thought he'd blocked that. It spun back, and he was gone. So 230 for 5. Good knock that by Greg Ritchie. Put on 75, and his share's been 31.
He's just trying to work out how it all happened. He tried so hard, played so well. As well as the restraint, he played some good shots, but he angles the bat now severely just to stop the ball coming through. It spins back, it hits the leg stump. He feared a stumping, but in fact was bowled.
This man a deep square, but he's not going to get that. It was worth a try from Emburey, slower and higher. The batsman wouldn't be expecting it. He's expecting it to be fired in for the spin, but just a little over-pitched.
I don't think Mike Gatting was too happy with that one, though, Richie.
He runs for border. Only the one, actually. Does he want to come off his glove? So now, 225 for 5, and England must bat again. Now there's a top-class shot. Good footwork, not an enormous backlift, but a beautiful piece of timing by the Australian captain. quite very intended, but he is off the mark. 52 balls Wayne Phillips has faced.
Of course, that's the difference. As you get higher up in the game, you get into the top class and you have to struggle all that time for the one run. And even that was an edgy one between the two short legs. But this is what happens when you play against two top-class spin bowlers in a difficult situation.
That's a very good shot by Alan Border. Beautiful stroke.
Yes, from outside the off stump there, the ball going just in front of square. But because he doesn't pick the bat up very high, he just controls it with that bottom hand. It was really a sweep shot in full control there.
Two more to Border. That's a lovely shot. Not a bad delivery, because Edmonds gave it a bit of air. He pitched it in the right spot, and it needed good footwork to get Border down there. He provided just that. Well, perhaps the spinning fingers are tiring a little. They've had a long spell, both Edmonds and Embury. A couple over pitched, perhaps, and then one or two a fraction shorter. Wayne Phillips goes now on 2-6.
Embury to Phillips. It's a good-looking stroke, over pitch, driven handsomely through the offside. That's 4 runs. And of course, runs just as valuable to Australia now as is time. That's what he's after. Might just not make the boundary. It's been chased hard by Graham Gooch. Full back heel to prevent the fall, but take him on to 99. So indeed is Phil Edmonds. Embury going to switch again to over the wicket with the Border on 99. There's the sweep shot, beautifully played, nice control, and Alan Border repeats that fine century made here 4 years ago. Up goes the bat, it's another 100, and surely a match-saving 100 for Australia now. With a great performance. And coming off 283 balls, included 7 fours. His 14th Test match 100. Launched into that, fairly crushed it through the offside. And the run's starting to flow quickly now from Border as he adds 4 more to his score.
This is the problem, because once Australia got in front, got a bit of confidence, runs were going to come a bit easier, particularly with 2 players like Border and Phillips, and another classic off-drive there.
Much better bounce for the batsman there. The previous ones he tried to play that shot from had kept a little low, but that bounced up nicely for him. Put away square for 4. He's picked his spot again and picked it quite beautifully. Freeman on the lakeside boundary, but knew where it was going. And it's 4 more to Border.
Again, you see Border, not much backlift, but that bottom hand really comes in at the last minute just as he makes contact, and that gives him the power to punch it away.
Interesting to see if he just got a nick on that. Indeed he did.
Alan Border looking to get down the wicket again here to Phil Edmonds. And got a thick bottom edge on that. No chance for the wicketkeeper. It shot along the floor now after he'd nicked it. There's no point in giving these two batsmen a lot of practice with nothing at stake now. And from worthwhile like someone like Graham Gooch, looks like maybe Ian Botham is going to bowl his off spinners now. So anything could happen now, James.
Yes, I was rather frightened of that. There he is, off 2 or 3 paces. I think moments where he rather fancies himself as an off spinner, but we shall see. It's swept away for 4 runs. Made that turn.
Well, what's Phil Edmonds been doing all afternoon? Certainly got that one to pitch on a length, spin quite considerably.
There's no rest for Edmonds. I think he's calling him up to go on the other end.
Well, change is as good as rest, Jim, so there he goes. I think he'll be over-impressed with that, Phil Edmonds.
Played that sweep shot very effectively all the way through his innings. He seldom missed out on it. Controls it, turns the bat over, keeps it down. And those 2 runs sees Australia onto the 300 mark.
"25 minutes to go." Be a bit of negotiation there between Botham and umpire Bird. And there may be some runs for Border. It's been conceded that England are not going to bowl out Australia and then make the runs required. The umpires given signal to the spectators that the game can finish at 5:30. And 4 more. He's getting. That's come right off the bottom of the bat. That feels a bit slow down this end, but it will still beat Graham Gooch into the rope. Right off the Q end of the bat. Now Wayne Phillips needs 1 more run for 1,000 in Test matches.
I think it's been suggested about Alan Border might want to declare at this stage. If he declares, of course, it'll take him through to the 5:30 break-off point, and that will be the end of the match. They could technically go off now, and the batsman will be undefeated. Border decides to play it as straight as he's played it right throughout this innings, and might look forward to the bowling of Alan Lamb.
The ominous thing is that Downton is standing back. Alan Lamb, 36 matches, just the 1 wicket, but no great number of runs. Four more to Alan Border. Can reveal to you, actually, the name of the victim, the man who fell to Alan Lamb. It's listed as M. Prabhakar. No ball called by umpire Harold Bird. Looked as though it came off the bottom edge as well. And that does take Wayne Phillips past 1,000 runs in Test cricket. And with a touch of irony, just as this game is about to draw to a close, the sun comes out brightly here at Old Trafford. That's the end of Guttings over. It's the end of the match at Old Trafford, the fourth Test match, a draw with Australia 340 for 5, and a magnificent performance by the Australian captain, Alan Border.